should I or should I not bring back my gaming YouTube channel? Not the gaming I've attempted to do on here with like the Animal Crossing stuff where I just don't act like a crazy dude. No, I mean like I was inspired by many a creator in the gaming space, and like it shows. Like should I do that? I feel like my gaming content is like, I don't feel like that's me. I feel like that's a different person entirely. Maybe if somehow this channel, let's put it on record, if somehow this channel blows up, maybe I will take some of my best stuff from my gaming channel, because I have individual videos and then I have like compilations of funny moments. I will put it somewhere. Maybe it'll be a Patreon. Ooh, maybe it'll be a Patreon thing. Like you'll get to see me unfiltered acting like a dumbass and lots of swearing. Like it'll all be on Patreon. So give me to like 10,000 subscribers. I'm less than 10% of the way there. And then I will show off my gaming content. If I know a handful of people here probably remember the gaming content, which like, yeah, I recently I've been wanting to go back to the gaming content space, but it also just wasn't a very nice space. So I don't know yet. I don't know. It's a very saturated market. Nobody's really talking that much about non-binary stuff, but gaming is like, there are powerhouse channels already doing gaming content that are so much bigger and better than I am. So it's a weird space to be in. I don't know. We'll have to see. What's up everyone, Alex here, and welcome to my little corner of the internet. I wanted to talk about why don't I just call myself non-binary? Why I hear this sentiment in my comments every so often where someone will be like, why can't you just call yourself non-binary? Why do you have to call yourself all these other additional things? I had a comment recently. Let me actually pull it up because I need it word for word. Let me find it for you. Yeah, here it is. This was on my video about what Maverick masculinity looks like, and this person said, "Oh my fucking god, can motherfuckers just be gay and be happy for once?" And then, I mean, my response was like, I'm very happy with who I am. And yeah, I am gay. But I love that so much because it's like, I had this idea for this video before that comment came about, but like that comment had some great timing where like, why don't I call myself non-binary? Why go through all the trouble of all this other stuff? Non-binary is a very broad term and it encompasses a lot of different experiences. I mean, you can just call yourself non-binary. A lot of people do. I know a lot of people who just call themselves non-binary, and that's perfectly fine because that works really well for them. But non-binary for me is so broad that it doesn't really get the point across as to where my gender's at. I'm non-binary and I'm also a man, and I experience my manhood through a non-binary lens. I feel that my manhood kind of runs parallel to the binary, but kind of lies outside of it. And I feel like this is a gender that is like outside of convention. And I can't just say I'm non-binary because I feel like the assumption is that I either don't have a gender or I'm just simply not male or female. I don't want to come off as like completely gender neutral. And I don't want to risk like people they theming me or avoiding using gendered nouns to like talk about, like avoiding calling me a guy or a man or a dude. I think that non-binary is a very important term for me, but also all of the other labels that I use to describe myself are also very important. I talk about, I'm bigender. I'm both male and neutroid at the same time. And I also have a Maverin quality to my gender. So I'm trans Maverin at the same time. And I think all of these are important for explaining, you don't do this in science where it's just like, okay, well, this is a plant. And then, like, that's kind of it. Even if you're specific, like, oh, that's a succulent. And it's like, well, okay, but, there's other descriptors for this thing. There's other ways that you could describe this organism. Like, what kind of succulent is it? Are we talking like Echeveria, or are we talking about like cactuses? Like, does it have spines? Does it hold water? Does it like bear a specific type of fruit? Does it flower? What do the flowers look like? What kind of environment does it grow in? Because not all succulents grow in just like sand in the desert. Like, there's other things. And like, how big does it get? Like, is this a saguaro cactus, or is it one of them little like dinky things? Like, are we talking about lithops, those little butt shaped like succulents, or are we talking like big towering thing? Like, what do you mean when you say this is a succulent? And sometimes it doesn't matter. It's like, oh, I collect succulents and take care of them. I have them all on a shelf. And like, that's more than enough to talk about a hobby. But if you're talking about specific species and talking about specific types of succulents when it's like relevant, then yeah, you're going to want a bunch of this language that refers to succulents, but is very specific under that umbrella. And that umbrella encompasses a lot of things. So that's kind of how non-binary is working here, where like in some spaces, yeah, like just calling myself non-binary or saying I'm a non-binary man, like that's more than enough in some spaces. Sometimes I don't want to go into detail, but literally this space, I carved out my corner of the internet that I keep introducing in every single video. I've carved this out as a space where I talk about gender complexities, and I'm part of those complexities. I'm a single complex being with many complexities in that. So, like, I'm made of complexities. Everybody is. And sometimes we want to talk about them. I could also just call myself bigender. I do that in some spaces as well. And again, if it's relevant, then I might go into more detail as to what that means for me. I talked about my gender being, whose car is that? Why does it sound like you're plowing the street? It's like 70 degrees out. There's no snow. What is that? Oh, it's a motorcycle. That's wonderful. That's so wonderful. I'm so glad you have a motorcycle. Thank you for telling the neighborhood. So in the past, I've talked about my gender being in layers or pieces. And over time, I've come up, well, I haven't come up, I didn't create these terms, but I have found words to describe these pieces or describe these labels. And it's not one label per gender, it's one label per piece. And it helps get the point across when I say, like, neutroi, what does that mean for me? Because even that is somewhat of an umbrella term. It doesn't encompass a ton of genders compared to non-binary, but it can encompass gender neutrality, genderedness, being between male and female, so more of an androgynous experience, or it can encompass being agender, and people will use it just depending on how they particularly feel. It's still an experience that's outside of male and female, but it also encompasses different types of gendered experiences. So for me, neutroi is a genderedness. It is kind of the softening of my malehood, which sounds odd. It sort of not diminishes. It provides, it's the neutral part of the gender that makes it so that instead of being fully 100% male, it feels more like a demi-guy experience. People call it demi-boy, but I'm 35, so I'm not going to be calling it demi-boy. That's a little odd. But there's still so many qualities and aspects of my gender, so many different pieces that, like, even just calling myself bi-gender, in some spaces, yeah, I can do that. But it doesn't really encompass all of the things that make me bigender, because bigender also means different things to different people. I think some people assume that bigender by default is both male and female in some way, either part male, part female, or two 100% genders coming together. But for me, that's not the case. None of my gender experience even like overlaps or goes anywhere near womanhood, because that's just how my gender manifests. I didn't really tell it to do this. It just kind of does that on its own. So just naturally, I'm non-binary. Naturally, I'm a man, and I'm bigender, and there's a million different ways I can explain what that means for me. And the entire point of language like this is to fill a lexical gap. Just saying non-binary doesn't get enough of the point across. In some spaces, yeah, I'll just say I'm non-binary. I don't do this in person. I don't start a new job and introduce myself as like, oh, hey, I'm Alex, and by the way, this is my whole gender. In fact, I'm not really out in that way in most day-to-day spaces, because it's not relevant. Other than, like, you know, if I'm like comfortable, I might tell people like, yeah, I'm a transgender man. And it kind of shifts the social expectations, where like I'm treated a little bit differently if people assume I'm cis versus assuming that I'm trans. So sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's a bad thing, but like the relevancy is the key here. So yeah, I do just call myself non-binary in some spaces, but that also varies greatly between individuals. People are non-binary for a number of different reasons, and I have my reasons, and like that will come up when it's relevant. When I'm online, that's where I'm talking about all the little details that make me non-binary. Why am I non-binary? What does that mean for me? And like, if I'm non-binary and a man and not genderless, what is that? What do you call that? So I'm still going to call myself non-binary. I'm still going to call myself a non-binary man. I'm still going to call myself bigender. And I'm still going to use the trans Maverick label. And I'm still going to talk about my gender being non-binary and abinary all at the same time, and talk about all the little gender complexities and all the little things that make me non-binary. And how specific I get depends on what the conversation is. So that's pretty much it. I think everybody should be able to have this kind of freedom to talk about their genders very specifically or very broadly. And I also am very supportive of, like, you don't have to use any labels at all. You don't have to use micro labels. You don't have to use broader labels. You don't have to call yourself non-binary, even if technically your experience lines up with non-binarity. You can call yourself something else entirely, or just do away with any kind of labels. You could just say, like, I'm just me. Like, my gender is just me, and that's all it is. And that's all it, like, it's okay if that's all it is. For some people, it's just not that simple. Yeah, I could just call myself non-binary. And I do. But yeah, it's complex. Everything that has to do with gender is complex. Even if, like, we don't always try to seek out the labels that explain those complexities. So that's about it. I'm signing off for now. See you later.